In the subconscious portal, you'll discover how your hidden beliefs, fears, and childhood experiences shape every aspect of your life. You'll learn how to break free from old patterns that no longer serve you and unlock the power within to transform your reality. This book isn't just a guide. It's a journey to rewire your subconscious mind and live a life of true alignment. The subconscious portal. We are all connected to a deeper part of ourselves, a space where truth, power, and limitless potential reside, waiting to be discovered. It's not in some faraway land or in some mystical place that you'll find it. It's in you. You've always had access to it, but somewhere along the way you may have forgotten how to listen. The truth is, we live much of our lives unaware of the vast power that lies beneath the surface. We chase success, we run after approval, we seek distractions, and yet we feel disconnected, empty, or even overwhelmed. What's missing? It's not the next job, relationship, or achievement, it's your connection to your subconscious. The subconscious mind is like a secret portal, quietly guiding the course of your thoughts, your actions, and even your destiny. Yet, so many of us walk through life unaware of the forces at play beneath the surface. We don't realize that the subconscious isn't just a passive storehouse of memories. It is the very engine of our lives, shaping our beliefs, our patterns, and our relationships in ways we rarely understand. This book is a journey into that portal. It's an invitation to discover the hidden parts of you, the parts that have been quietly influencing your life, whether you've been aware of them or not. It's about stepping into your own power, embracing the parts of you that were once neglected or buried, and unlocking the potential that's waiting for you to claim. You'll learn to listen to the whispers of your subconscious, to understand the messages in your emotions, your dreams, and your inner world. And in doing so, you'll reconnect with your truest self, the one that's been waiting for you to wake up. Every chapter of this book is an opportunity to step through a door that leads to healing, transformation, and deeper connection with the infinite power within. So, if you're ready to unlock the greatest secret you've ever known, if you're ready to finally listen to the part of you that's been quietly guiding you all along, welcome to the subconscious portal. Chapter 1. The Door, Beneath the Noise. It's usually not a breakdown, it's a buildup, a quiet pressure that grows under the surface until it becomes impossible to ignore. You start waking up at odd hours with your heart racing and no clear reason why. Your thoughts loop like background static. You smile at people, but you're not really there. Something's wrong, but it's not loud or obvious. It's subtle. That's how the subconscious speaks. Through tension, through patterns, through discomfort that feels too familiar to be random. We're taught to label these experiences as anxiety, overthinking, burnout. But what if they're not problems to fix? What if they're messages, warnings, wake-up calls from the deepest part of who we are? The subconscious mind isn't some mystical vault buried in your brain. It's the real you, the silent observer that's been watching since childhood. It remembers things your conscious mind let go of long ago. The moment you felt unworthy at 7, the time you stayed silent to be liked, the way your father's absence made you question your worth. You buried those things because you had to, but they didn't disappear. They got stored. Chapter 2. Childhood. The Blueprint. You didn't choose. You were programmed long before you had a choice. Before you knew your own name, before you could form a full sentence, your subconscious mind was already downloading the world around you, absorbing every tone of voice, every facial expression, every moment of joy or pain, and deciding quietly what was safe, what was love, and who you needed to become to survive. Your childhood was never just a phase, it was a blueprint. And whether it was loud and chaotic, soft and silent, full of warmth or laced with distance, your brain recorded everything, not as memory, but as reality. You learned how to love by watching whether affection was given freely or earned through performance. You learned how to handle anger by watching how your caregivers fought or avoided or exploded. You learned who you had to be in order to receive approval, affection, attention, and slowly, piece by piece, you built your identity around what was rewarded and what was rejected. Maybe you were the good child, always praised for being quiet, helpful, polite. So you learned to shrink your needs and become invisible to feel safe. Or maybe you were the rebel, the one who acted out because it was the only way to be noticed. Whatever role you played, it wasn't random, it was survival. And here's the hard truth. You are likely still playing it today. That's what the subconscious does. It doesn't ask, is this who you want to be? It asks, did this keep you safe back then? And if the answer is yes, it keeps running that same emotional software, year after year, even decades later, until one day, you wake up in a life that looks nothing like what your soul actually desires. You wonder why you keep attracting the same kind of partners, why you sabotage opportunities, why you feel guilty when you rest, why you're terrified of conflict, even when you know you're right. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're still wired to survive a childhood that's over. And the most beautiful thing? That wiring can be rewritten. But first, you have to see it. You have to get curious about your patterns without shame. Ask yourself, what did I learn about love growing up? Was it safe to speak up? Did I feel seen? What part of me did I hide to stay safe? These questions aren't to blame your parents. They were running their own programming too. This is about reclaiming authorship of your life. Because the moment you realize that your subconscious was programmed by someone else's survival story, you also realize you get to change it. You are not a slave to your past. You are the architect of your future. The portal to your true self opens the moment you stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what did I learn to believe that no longer serves me? Healing begins when remembering becomes rewriting. And now, you get to choose the story. Chapter 3. The Echo of Unfelt Emotions. We like to believe emotions are temporary, that if we push them down hard enough for long enough, they'll disappear. But they don't. Emotions are energy, and energy doesn't vanish. It stores. It waits. It buries itself in the quiet spaces of the body, in the corners of your nervous system, in the way your jaw clenches when you say, I'm fine, and in the tension you feel when someone gets too close to the part of you you've kept hidden. What you refuse to feel doesn't just disappear, it echoes. It shows up in your relationships, your choices, your self-worth, your fear of vulnerability, and your inability to stay still without discomfort rising to the surface. We were never taught how to feel. Most of us were taught how to shut it down. Don't cry. Toughen up. Get over it. Be grateful. So we became experts at emotional avoidance. We smiled when we were hurt. We made jokes when we were angry. We numbed ourselves with busyness, productivity, scrolling, or silence. But the body doesn't forget what the mind tries to ignore. And years later the emotion returns, not always as a memory, but as a pattern. You keep attracting emotionally unavailable people because your inner child still believes deep connection isn't safe. You keep overworking yourself because the part of you that never felt good enough is still trying to earn rest. You fear being abandoned, not because of what's happening now, but because of what never got healed then. These echoes are not punishments, they're signals. They rise not to ruin your peace, but to point to what's unfinished. What you didn't cry over at 12 might come back at 32. What you shoved down in a breakup 5 years ago might resurface the moment someone says, "I love you," and you feel yourself pull away. Unfelt emotions become walls we build around ourselves to stay safe. But those same walls block the very love, intimacy, and freedom we long for. The truth is, you can't selectively numb. If you shut down sadness, you also dim joy. If you hide anger, you block passion. If you suppress grief, you dull your aliveness. Feeling is healing, and healing doesn't mean reliving the pain. It means finally allowing the emotion to pass through you, rather than getting trapped inside. You don't need to understand every emotion to release it. You just need to honor it. Sit with it. Name it. Let it rise and fall like a wave instead of bracing against it like a storm. This is the work, bringing compassion to the parts of you you've silenced. When you stop running from your emotions, you stop being ruled by them. And slowly, the echoes fade. In their place, something softer arrives. Clarity, calm, connection. The portal opens, not when you think your way through your pain, but when you finally feel it all the way through. Your emotions were never the enemy. They were always the message. Chapter 4. The Body Remembers. Your body is not just skin and bone, it is memory. Every ache, every tight muscle, every strange fatigue that doctors can't quite explain might not be a medical condition at all. It might be a message. Because, long after your mind forgets the pain, your body keeps the score. Think about it. The lump in your throat when you try to speak your truth. The knots in your stomach before a hard conversation. The tension in your shoulders you've carried for years. That's not just stress, it's storage. The subconscious mind doesn't just live in your brain, it lives in your body. Every time you had to bite your tongue as a child, every time you were told to stop crying, to sit still, to toughen up, to get over it, your body made a sacrifice. It swallowed your pain to protect your mind. And now, that protection has turned into patterns. Chronic fatigue, shallow breathing, migraines, gut issues, insomnia. Your nervous system is not malfunctioning. It's overcompensating for a life where your emotions had no safe place to land. And that's why talk therapy doesn't always work alone. You can analyze your trauma for years and still feel stuck, because the body doesn't heal through logic, it heals through feeling. And sometimes, what your soul needs is not more thinking, but permission to release. I once worked with a woman who had crippling back pain for 10 years. She tried everything. Chiropractors, yoga, stretching, even surgery. Nothing helped. But the pain started the same year her brother died suddenly, and no one in her family ever talked about it. She had never cried, never screamed, never been held in her grief. When we finally gave her space to feel what she never had words for, the pain loosened its grip. Her body wasn't broken. It was begging for expression. You see, trauma isn't just what happened to you. It's what got trapped inside of you, and the moment you allow your body to feel again, whether through breath work, tears, movement, or stillness, you begin to unlock the wisdom it's been holding all along. This is why the healing path isn't just mental, it's physical, emotional, cellular. And you don't have to fix it all at once, you just have to start by paying attention. Notice where you tighten when you get nervous, where you go numb when you feel afraid. Place your hand on that part of your body and say, "It's safe now, I'm listening." That small gesture might feel silly, but to your subconscious, it's sacred. It's a signal that you are finally returning home. Because the truth is, Your body doesn't lie. It doesn't care about how strong you pretend to be or how put together you look. It only cares about truth. And once you stop running from it, once you let it speak, the body doesn't just remember the pain, it begins to remember the power. The portal to healing isn't in the mind alone, it's in the body that never gave up on you. Chapter 5. The inner critic isn't yours. The voice in your head that says you're not good enough? It didn't start with you. It was planted, somewhere back in time. Maybe it came from a parent who expected perfection, a teacher who humiliated you, a sibling who made you feel small, or a world that rewarded you only when you were useful. Over time, those outside voices became an inside echo, repeating in your mind long after the people were gone. You weren't born criticizing yourself. You didn't come into the world doubting your worth. Look at any toddler, wild, curious, fearless, dancing like everyone's watching and not caring at all. But something shifted. You learned that certain parts of you were too much or not enough. You were told to sit still, quiet down, work harder, look better, be stronger. And when you couldn't meet those invisible standards, you didn't think the expectations were wrong. You thought you were. That's when the inner critic was born. But here's the truth most people never hear. That voice doesn't belong to you. It was inherited, installed, and repeated until it sounded like your own. And now it disguises itself so well, whispering things like, "You always mess this up. They're probably judging you," or "You'll never be as good as them," all while wearing your voice and using your name. But listen closely. The tone doesn't match your soul. Because deep down there's another part of you. A softer voice, a wiser voice. The one you've silenced for years. The one that knows you are more than your mistakes. That voice has been buried beneath layers of fear and conditioning, but it's still there, waiting for you to hear it again. You see, the subconscious mind accepts repetition as truth. So if you were repeatedly criticized, ignored, or judged, your mind assumed, "This must be who I am." But it's not. It never was. You are not broken. You're just repeating a script that was written without your permission, and now you get to rewrite it. The first step is simple. Question the voice. When your inner critic speaks up, pause and ask, whose voice is that? Trace it back. Does it sound like someone you used to try to impress? Someone you feared disappointing? Once you recognize it, the illusion starts to break. And then, you take your voice back. Replace judgment with curiosity. Swap shame for compassion. Speak to yourself like someone you love, not like someone you're trying to fix. This isn't about ego. It's about truth. Because when you stop mistaking criticism for truth, you begin to hear your real self. Calm, grounded, and unshakably worthy. The portal doesn't open through perfection. It opens when you decide to stop carrying the voices that were never yours to begin with. And that decision, that moment of self-return, that's how freedom begins. Chapter 6. The Power of Triggers. It always feels like it comes out of nowhere. A text you didn't expect, a glance that felt cold, a comment that shouldn't matter but suddenly makes your chest tighten and your throat burn. You're angry, hurt, anxious, or shut down completely, and the story in your mind starts spiraling. They don't respect me, or I'm not good enough, or why does this always happen to me? That's a trigger, and most of us treat triggers like enemies. We try to ignore them, blame someone for causing them, or bury them with distraction, all while feeling like we're overreacting or broken. But here's the truth you were never taught. Triggers aren't attacks, they're invitations. They are your subconscious mind saying, "Hey, there's something buried here that's ready to be seen." The emotional heat you feel in those moments isn't just about what's happening now. It's about what never got processed then. A childhood memory, a painful belief, a moment you felt powerless that never fully healed. Triggers are time travelers. They bring the past into the present not to haunt you, but to give you a second chance to respond with awareness instead of instinct. Maybe you get defensive when someone offers feedback, not because you're arrogant, but because a parent only pointed out your flaws. Maybe silence in a relationship makes you panic, not because you're clingy, but because as a kid, silence meant abandonment. The pain is real, but it's also sacred, because within that pain is a map. Your triggers reveal where your subconscious is still running the show, where your nervous system is still protecting you from a threat that may no longer exist. And when you stop avoiding the trigger and start sitting with it, with compassion, not judgment, you unlock the very part of you that's asking to grow. The next time you get triggered, pause. Don't run. Don't react. Instead, ask, what part of me feels unsafe right now? What memory is this connected to? What story am I telling myself? In that pause, you shift from being the wounded to being the witness. And that shift is everything. That's how you take your power back. The world is full of triggers, relationships, jobs, social media, even your own thoughts. You can't control what shows up, but you can choose what it teaches you. Healing doesn't mean you never get triggered. It means when you do, you don't abandon yourself. You turn toward yourself with love and say, I hear you. Let's figure out where this is coming from. That's what it means to walk through the subconscious portal. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. Triggers are not curses. They are signals that the wound is close to the surface, and if you stay with it long enough, it stops controlling you. It becomes your teacher. And what once felt like a breakdown becomes the beginning of your breakthrough. Chapter 7. Dreams. The portal that never closes. Every night as your eyes close and the world falls away, a hidden doorway opens, one that doesn't need logic, permission, or daylight to exist. In this space, your mind untethers from time and your body lets go of control, and suddenly you find yourself in a reality shaped not by what's happening outside, but by what's unresolved inside. This is the realm of dreams, a sacred portal the subconscious uses to speak to you when you're finally quiet enough to hear. And yet, we treat our dreams like throwaway scraps, weird clips we half remember, or chaos we brush off as random. But nothing your subconscious creates is random. Every symbol, every strange face, every repeating scenario, it all means something. Because dreams are where your truth goes when you don't give it space during the day. That nightmare you keep, having where you're being chased? Maybe it's the anxiety you've buried, the responsibilities you're running from, the fear that if you stop performing you'll lose everything. That recurring dream about an old house or a broken-down car. Maybe it's your sense of identity, asking to be rebuilt. The ex you keep dreaming about even though you're long past them? That's not always about them, it's about the part of you that was alive in that chapter. A version of yourself trying to reintroduce itself or be healed. Dreams are honest. They are the one place your ego can't edit the truth. And that's why they matter. In the waking world, we wear masks. We say we're fine, we play roles, we push through. But in dreams, your soul gets a voice. Your wounds get faces. Your fears grow wings. Your hopes paint skies. The subconscious doesn't speak in paragraphs. It speaks in metaphors. And when you begin to take your dreams seriously, something changes. You stop living on autopilot. You begin waking up not just in the morning, but in your life. Start by writing them down, no matter how fragmented. Give your dreams the respect you give texts from someone you love. Ask yourself, what was I feeling in this dream? What part of my waking life mirrors that feeling? Don't try to make it all make sense, just notice what repeats. The images, the emotions, the moments that feel more like memories than fiction. Because your dreams aren't fiction. They're feedback. They are proof that the portal to your inner world never actually closes. Even when you forget. Even when you're tired. Even when you're afraid. It stays open, patiently waiting for you to turn inward and ask, "What do you want me to know?" That's all it takes. One question. One moment of reverence for the unseen. And when you start listening to your dreams, you start remembering parts of yourself you thought were long gone. Because the subconscious never forgets. And neither does your soul. Chapter 8. Hypnosis, Meditation, and Mental Rewiring. There's a reason most people struggle to truly change. Why affirmations feel like lies. Why goals fall apart. Why healing sometimes feels like running in circles. It's not because they're broken or lazy. It's because they're trying to change their life from the surface. But real transformation doesn't happen at the level of logic. It happens in the language of the subconscious. And the subconscious only opens its doors in stillness, in surrender, in the quiet moments when the thinking mind finally steps aside. That's where hypnosis and meditation come in, not as mystical concepts, but as proven tools to gently drop, beneath the noise of conscious thought, and speak directly to the part of you that actually runs the show. You see, the subconscious isn't convinced by motivation. It's moved by repetition, emotion, and relaxed focus. And that's exactly what these practices give you. Access. When you're in a meditative or hypnotic state, your brain shifts into slower frequencies, alpha, theta, sometimes even delta, the same brainwave states that children live in before age 7, which is exactly when most of your core beliefs were programmed in the first place. So when you meditate or use guided hypnosis, you're not just calming down. You're going back in through the same portal where your programming began. This is why a single sentence whispered in meditation can heal something that years of overthinking never could. I once worked with a woman named Brielle who carried a belief for 30 years that she was unlovable. She had done therapy, read books, gone to retreats. But that belief still sat like a stone in her chest. One evening, she tried a guided hypnosis recording before bed. In that calm, open space between waking and sleep, her mind relaxed enough to receive. The recording led her into a memory she hadn't thought about in decades. Her father walking away from her birthday party when she was 6. In that moment, she didn't need to talk about it. She needed to feel it. And more importantly, reframe it. And that's what hypnosis gave her. A safe place to feel the original wound without judgment and rewire what it meant. That's what all of this is about. Not erasing pain, but giving the subconscious a new meaning to carry. Meditation helps you observe your thoughts without becoming them. Hypnosis helps you rewrite the ones that no longer serve you. Together, they form a powerful bridge between who you've been and who you're becoming. But you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be consistent. 10 minutes a day. Soft music, guided words, a single intention whispered into a quiet mind. That's how the new story begins. Not through willpower, but through access. Because when you learn how to speak the language of the subconscious, you stop repeating the past and start designing your future from the inside out. Chapter 9. Your Subconscious Beliefs About Love. Love is not just a feeling, it's a mirror. It reflects back to you the deepest beliefs you carry about your own worth, safety, and identity, most of which were formed before you even knew what love meant. You may think you're choosing your partners, but the truth is, your subconscious is doing most of the choosing. Not based on what's good for you, but based on what feels familiar. And familiar doesn't always mean healthy. If you grew up in a home where love came with conditions, you might now equate affection with performance. If love was inconsistent or chaotic, you might now mistake emotional roller coasters for passion. If love was distant or cold, you might now chase unavailable people, thinking that if you can just get them to love you, it will finally mean you're enough. These beliefs aren't conscious. They live deep in the body. They show up when someone gets too close and you suddenly pull away, when someone texts back too fast and you lose interest, when someone is kind and present and your nervous system goes into suspicion instead of safety. And then there's the flip side. When love feels too good, your subconscious might sabotage it, not because you don't want it, but because deep down, you don't believe you deserve it. We attract what we believe we are worthy of. That's the hard truth. And unless you've done the inner work to examine what you learned about love growing up, chances are you're still operating from a script you didn't write. That's why self-love isn't a cliché. It's the foundation. Not the kind of self-love that's just bubble baths and affirmations, but the kind that sits with your inner child and says, "You didn't deserve that silence. You didn't have to earn love. You were already enough." Real self-love rewires the nervous system. It teaches your subconscious that safety is not found in being needed, fixing others, or proving yourself, but in being authentic, seen, and whole. When you begin to believe deeply, not just intellectually, that you are worthy of healthy love, everything changes. The people you attract change. The boundaries you set change. The way you speak to yourself changes. And love stops being a battlefield and starts becoming a mirror for healing and growth. So ask yourself, what did love look like in my earliest memories? What did I have to do to feel loved? Who did I have to become? And do those answers reflect truth or trauma? Because love isn't supposed to hurt. It's not supposed to confuse. It's not supposed to make you feel small. And if that's the love you're used to, it's not love. It's programming. The subconscious portal opens when you stop chasing love and start becoming the kind of person who can receive it. Not perform for it, not shrink for it, receive it. That's when love becomes a reflection of your healing, not your history. Chapter 10. Money and Worthiness. Money has never just been about numbers. It's never really been about dollars in the bank, credit scores, or how many hours you grind. Beneath all of that, money is about energy. It's a mirror, one that reflects what you believe you're worth, what you think is possible, and how safe you feel receiving. Most people don't have a money problem. They have a worthiness problem. And that problem was often planted in childhood, long before they ever had a wallet. Maybe you grew up hearing phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "We can't afford that," or "Rich people are greedy." Maybe you watched your parents fight about bills, or struggle silently while pretending everything was fine. You learned early that money was stressful, unpredictable, even dangerous. And in the mind of a child, survival gets tied to emotional patterns. So the subconscious absorbs not just the math, but the meaning. Fast forward to adulthood and you may find yourself under-earning, overworking, or self-sabotaging financial opportunities. Not because you don't want success, but because deep down, success doesn't feel safe. If love was tied to struggle, you might subconsciously believe you have to hustle to earn rest. If you were praised for being selfless, you might reject wealth because it feels selfish. If you grew up feeling invisible, you might fear money because it brings visibility. And visibility once brought pain. So you set goals, dream big, and then quietly undercut yourself with procrastination, guilt, or shame the moment things start to go right. The truth is, your bank account will always reflect your self-image, not in a shallow way, but in a deeply spiritual one. If you believe you're not enough, you'll unconsciously reject anything that threatens to prove otherwise. That's why affirmations without inner work rarely stick. Because saying I am abundant means nothing if your subconscious is screaming, no, you're not. The real shift begins when you stop chasing money and start healing your relationship with it. That means asking, what did I learn about money growing up? Who did I see earning, and who did I see sacrificing? What did it cost my family emotionally to survive? What do I secretly believe I have to suffer through to be successful? When you start seeing money not as a god or a villain, but as a reflection of how safe you feel to receive, hold, and enjoy, it begins to lose its grip on your nervous system. Worthiness is not something you earn, it's something you remember. And as you remember your worth, you naturally make space for more flow, more rest, more receiving without guilt. Because abundance doesn't come from trying harder, it comes from clearing the blocks you didn't know were there. The portal to prosperity opens when you stop chasing and start aligning, when you stop proving and start believing. You are already enough. The money simply rises to meet the truth you finally decided to claim. Chapter 11. Repetition, the secret language of the subconscious. They say the subconscious mind doesn't respond to logic, it responds to rhythm. It listens to repetition, not reason. That's why no matter how many times you decide to change, you often find yourself pulled back into the same old habits, the same thoughts, the same emotional loops. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you lack discipline. It's that your subconscious is still holding on to the script it's rehearsed for years. The truth is, your life at this very moment is a reflection of what you've practiced, mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally, over and over again. And just like a path in the forest, the more you walk it, the deeper and more automatic it becomes. If you've spent years telling yourself you're not good enough, that no one stays, that money is hard to come by, that your voice doesn't matter, that has become the dominant frequency in your inner world. Even if you consciously know better. Now, the subconscious needs more than information, it needs immersion. That's why affirmations don't work if you just say them once. That's why one good day doesn't erase 10 years of fear. Change doesn't come from force, it comes from familiarity. The subconscious trusts what it sees repeatedly, especially when it's charged with emotion. That's why trauma etches itself so deeply, because it's both intense and repeated. But the good news is healing works the same way. The brain doesn't care if the repetition is empowering or destructive. It just memorizes what you feed it. So if you want to rewire your identity, you must train your mind like it's a living garden. Daily, gently, patiently. Speak to yourself as if your words are water, soaking the roots of your beliefs. Visualize your future self not once but every day. Move your body in alignment with who you want to become. Catch the old thoughts when they rise, and gently redirect them, not just once, but again and again and again. In time, the old voice gets quieter, the new one grows stronger. That's the secret. Repetition builds trust, and the subconscious only follows what it trusts. Think of a child learning to walk. They don't get up once and master it. They fall 100 times. But their brain keeps repeating the motion until it becomes instinct. Your transformation is no different. If you want to change your identity, you can't just think new thoughts. You have to rehearse being the new version of you, daily, emotionally, with presence. This isn't about fake positivity. It's about neuroplasticity. Your mind isn't set in stone, it's clay waiting for your hands. And the more often you shape it with love, clarity, and consistency, the more your subconscious begins to believe, this is who we are now. That is when change becomes effortless. Not because it's easy, but because it's familiar. Repetition is not boring. It's sacred. It's how you teach the deepest parts of yourself to feel safe in a brand new story. Chapter 12. Symbols, Patterns, and the Language of the Deep Mind. Your subconscious mind doesn't use words. It speaks in images, metaphors, symbols, quiet whispers that show up when you least expect them. You might think it's all random, but the truth is, nothing in your inner world is ever accidental. Every symbol, every pattern, every strange feeling that rises to the surface has meaning. If you choose to listen. Think about the dreams you've had. The ones where you're running but can't escape. Or where you lose your teeth. Or where you're falling, helpless, into an endless abyss. At first glance, they may seem nonsensical or disconnected from reality. But if you take a moment, you'll realize these images are not random. They are your subconscious mind, sending you urgent messages. The mind speaks in pictures and symbols because in the language of the unconscious, emotions and experiences are too vast to capture in mere words. A dream about losing teeth might not just be about vanity. It could symbolize a fear of losing control, or a deeper concern about aging, self-worth, or even a recent transition in life where you feel powerless. The recurring pattern of conflict in relationships might not just be about your partner's flaws. It could be a symbol of unresolved feelings from childhood, a metaphor for a dynamic you've recreated in an unconscious attempt to heal old wounds. And those patterns you keep repeating, self-sabotage, perfectionism, overworking, are not just habits. They are symbols of your inner conflict, your need for validation, your fear of not being enough. The mind doesn't just want you to survive. It wants you to thrive, to be whole, to remember who you truly are. But to do so, it speaks the only language it knows, the language of the deep mind, where everything is interconnected, where nothing is separate, and where every symbol has a lesson to teach. The key to unlocking this language is to stop looking for the literal answer and begin feeling the deeper message beneath the surface. Take a moment when something stirs inside you, whether it's a recurring dream, a gut feeling, or a strange image that keeps popping into your mind. Ask yourself, what does this symbolize for me? What emotions does this image bring up? What does it remind me of? And what is it trying to tell me about my life right now? This is the doorway to self-awareness. By tuning in to these subtle messages, you stop reacting to life based on surface-level emotions, and you start responding from a place of deep, subconscious understanding. Symbols are the bridge between the conscious and unconscious, the known and the unknown, the past and the present. They reveal the hidden threads that weave your life together, showing you the patterns that have been operating beneath the surface for years. When you finally recognize these patterns and symbols for what they are, clues to your soul's deepest truths, you can begin to break free from them, rewrite them, and reclaim your power. Chapter 13. Trauma is not what happened, it's what got stored. Trauma isn't just what happened to you, it's what your body, mind, and spirit were forced to carry long after the event was over. It's not always a car crash, an assault, or a loss so deep that it's seared into your memory. Sometimes trauma is the stuff that didn't show up as a dramatic event. It's the subtle moments when you were ignored, dismissed, or left feeling unsafe, alone, or unworthy. It's the fear that came from living in an unpredictable home, the shame of being told you were too much or not enough, the grief of not being seen or heard. These invisible wounds don't always show up as scars we can point to. They show up as patterns, as ways of being in the world that no longer serve us but are still deeply embedded in our nervous system. This is why someone might feel a wave of fear or anger in a completely harmless situation. It's not about what's happening now. It's about what happened then that your body never had the chance to release. When we experience trauma, Our subconscious mind, which controls 95% of our behavior, starts storing those events as survival tools. It says, "This was dangerous, this was unsafe, don't let this happen again." And because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between past and present, it keeps those beliefs running, even in situations where you're no longer in danger. You could be 40 years old, sitting in a meeting at work, and suddenly feel that same rush of fear, like you're back in the schoolyard, being bullied. Or you could be in a relationship with someone who loves you, and yet you're gripped with an overwhelming sense of unworthiness, as if you'll be abandoned just like you were all those years ago. That's trauma. It's not just what happened, it's what's been stored, waiting for the right trigger to bring it to the surface. But here's the key. Healing trauma isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about releasing the hold it has on your life. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that got stuck in time, the parts of you that learned to protect, defend, or hide but never learned how to heal. The power of healing trauma is in acknowledging that it exists, not as a weight you need to carry, but as a wound that deserves attention, care, and release. It's about reprogramming your nervous system so that it no longer reacts from that place of hurt. You get to tell your body that it's safe now. You get to give your mind new experiences, new memories, new beliefs. It's not an easy journey, but it's a necessary one. You'll start by sitting with the pain, not trying to fix it immediately, but simply feeling it, acknowledging it without judgment. You'll start by asking, what was I not able to process back then? What part of me still feels trapped in that past moment? And as you let those feelings rise without shame, without fear, you begin to release them one breath at a time. Trauma does not define you. It never did. It's time to let go of what got stored and to finally be free. Chapter 14. Your shadow self isn't evil. It's unseen. The shadow is not a monster lurking in the dark. It's not some evil force waiting to drag you down. The shadow is simply the parts of you that have been ignored, rejected, or buried over time. The traits, emotions, and desires you were taught to suppress because they didn't fit the version of you that society, your family, or even your own ego wanted you to be. We all have a shadow. It's the anger you didn't express as a child, the sadness you pushed down because it didn't feel strong enough, the jealousy you shamed yourself for, the fear of failure you learned to hide behind perfectionism. But here's the thing. Your shadow isn't a flaw. It's a part of you that has simply been cast into the darkness because it hasn't been allowed to come into the light. And it's not evil. It's human. When you think of the shadow, you might picture a dark, distorted version of yourself. But it's not about becoming someone else. It's about embracing the parts of you that have been repressed. The things you've hidden from the world and maybe even from yourself hold incredible power. Because those parts of you, though uncomfortable, carry a truth that can set you free. The moment you look into your shadow and say, "I see you," something shifts. The fear of your darker emotions dissolves when you stop running from them. The anger isn't dangerous when you stop trying to avoid it. It simply becomes energy, waiting to be used in healthy ways. The sadness isn't weakness when you allow it to flow. It's a gateway to compassion. And the jealousy isn't something to shame, but a signal of unmet desires or unclaimed potential. When you deny these aspects of yourself, you create a war inside. You split yourself into pieces, one part that plays the good role and another part that festers in the dark, waiting for its turn to be heard. The war drains your energy and keeps you stuck in patterns of self-doubt, shame, and fear. But when you embrace your shadow, you don't lose yourself. You become whole. You realize that the anger you suppressed for years could actually fuel your passion. You see that the sadness you've avoided could open you to deeper love and Empathy for yourself and others. Your shadow holds the key to your strength, your creativity, your authenticity. The path to wholeness begins when you stop pretending the dark parts of you don't exist. They're not the enemy. They are the pieces of you that are waiting to be integrated, loved, and used for something greater. The moment you accept them, you unlock the power to live fully without fear or shame. The shadow self is not your prison, it's your liberation. And it all starts with the courage to look it in the face and say, I am not afraid of you. Chapter 15. Guided by Resistance. Resistance is not the enemy. It's the guide. We've been taught to fight resistance, to push through it, to overcome it. But what if resistance isn't something to beat? What if it's trying to show you the path? The things you avoid most are often the things your soul most needs to face. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of success. These are not signs of weakness, but signs of growth waiting to happen. Take Sophia, for example. She had been talking about writing her novel for years. Every time she sat down to work, her mind filled with doubts. The words wouldn't come. The page remained blank. And so she told herself, I'm just not a writer. But in reality, Sophia's resistance wasn't about a lack of skill. It was about a fear so deep she hadn't even recognized it. The resistance was a messenger, signaling a deeper truth. She was terrified of her own potential. Writing wasn't the issue. The issue was allowing herself to be seen. The fear of judgment, the fear of not being enough, the fear of exposing her most vulnerable self. This was the resistance, keeping her from stepping into her own power. We all have these things. These walls, these blocks, these uncomfortable feelings that hold us back. We think they're here to protect us. We think they're here to tell us that something isn't right. But in truth, resistance is often a sign that we're standing at the very edge of our growth. Every time you feel yourself shrinking away from something, whether it's a conversation you need to have, a dream you need to pursue, or a boundary you need to set, that's where the real opportunity lies. It's your subconscious saying, this is where the magic happens, this is where the change begins. It's in these moments that transformation occurs. But you can't change what you're unwilling to face. You can't shift what you refuse to confront. Resistance shows up because it wants you to face the very things you've been avoiding, the things that will stretch you, challenge you, and ultimately free you. The next time you find yourself resisting, whether it's an idea, an action, or an emotion, ask yourself, what is this resistance trying to protect me from? And what would it look like if I leaned in instead of pulled away? This is where the breakthrough is waiting. On the other side of resistance is the version of you that is fully alive, fully engaged, fully free. So, instead of fighting the resistance, let it guide you. Let it show you the door you've been afraid to open. Because in the end, it's not the absence of fear that defines growth. It's learning to walk through it, one step at a time. Chapter 16. Subconscious Habits. Superconscious Potential. You are not just the sum of your habits. You are the sum of the invisible forces that shaped those habits. From the way you wake up each morning to the thoughts that flood your mind as you fall asleep, your subconscious has been running the show, often without your conscious awareness. The habits you repeat daily, the beliefs you've quietly accepted as truth are like invisible scripts, written by years of experience, family patterns, and cultural conditioning. They form the bedrock of how you interact with the world, and, if you're not aware of them, they can keep you trapped in loops of mediocrity, unfulfilled desires, and self-sabotage. But here's the profound truth. Underneath the surface of your subconscious mind is something far more powerful: your superconscious. This higher aspect of yourself is the part that is connected to infinite wisdom, creativity, and intuition. It knows your soul's deepest desires, your true potential, and the path that will lead you to a life of extraordinary alignment and fulfillment. The challenge is, most of us are so wrapped up in the programming of our subconscious mind that we rarely tap into this deeper, wiser part of ourselves. We act on autopilot, running the same old patterns, and wonder why things feel stagnant. But the moment you recognize the gap between who you've been conditioned to be and who you are beneath the surface, the doorway to your superconscious opens. Imagine that all the potential for greatness, joy, and abundance has always been there, buried beneath the clutter of old habits. You've simply been living in a box, told by your past that the walls are unbreakable. But in truth, the only thing holding you back from stepping into your superconscious potential is your own willingness to rewrite your subconscious programming. When you begin to take conscious control over the thoughts, beliefs, and habits that run your daily life, you start aligning more with your higher self. You begin to intuitively know what actions to take, what relationships to nurture, and what opportunities to seize. It's not about force or struggle. It's about flow. When your subconscious mind starts mirroring your higher purpose, life doesn't feel like a fight. It feels like a dance with the universe, where you're in sync with what's meant for you. And the best part? This isn't some far-off goal, it's a shift that's available to you right now. By practicing mindfulness, using affirmations, and rewiring old belief systems that no longer serve you, you start releasing the blocks that keep your potential locked away. The real magic happens when you shift from thinking to being, when your actions align with the wisdom that's always been within you. And then life becomes a reflection of your deepest truth, where every habit, every choice, and every step is guided by the expansive potential of your superconscious. Chapter 17. Past Lives, Ancestral Memory, and the Collective Subconscious. Have you ever wondered why certain patterns seem to follow you, no matter how far you've come or how much you've changed? Why certain fears, beliefs, or even behaviors feel so ingrained, so ancient that they don't seem to belong to you at all? Maybe you've heard stories from your family, or maybe you felt inexplicably drawn to a place, a culture, or a time long past. Like there's a thread connecting you to something much bigger than yourself. What if I told you that some of what you carry, what you experience, what you fear, isn't just your own? What if the past is not something buried, but something alive, running through your veins like a hidden current? The truth is, your story might not start with you. It might stretch back through generations, echoing in the bloodline, in the unconscious memory of those who walked this earth before you. Ancestral trauma, collective wounds, past lives. You may not believe in them in the traditional sense, but they exist in a very real way in the fabric of your subconscious. The emotions, fears, and patterns you inherited are not just echoes of those who came before you. They are programs that were passed down like heirlooms, often without any conscious understanding of their weight. Your grandparents' heartbreak, your great-great-grandfather's unresolved anger, your ancestors' struggle to survive, they all live inside you, and they shape how you show up in the world today. If you've ever felt an inexplicable connection to a past event, an unusual pattern of behavior that doesn't fit the life you're living now, it may be a piece of an ancestral memory trying to surface. It may be a feeling you can't shake, a fear that seems irrational, or a gift that's been locked in the DNA, waiting for someone to unlock it. The collective unconscious, as Carl Jung called it, is a shared reservoir of experiences, archetypes, and symbols that transcend individual lives. It's like an emotional library of the human experience, one that includes not just your own personal story but the stories of every culture, every community, every era. Your subconscious mind has access to this library, whether you're aware of it or not. That's why certain places, books, or art can stir something deep within you, a knowing that feels ancient and true, even if you've never lived that history. Healing in this realm requires an openness to something bigger than your individual timeline. It requires looking at the patterns that haunt you, the beliefs that limit you, and asking not just, why is this happening to me? But where did this come from? The moment you recognize that you carry within you the stories of those who came before, you can begin to release the weight of their unresolved pain, to release the need to repeat their unresolved struggles, and to transform your connection to the collective history. Understanding your ancestral memory is not about staying in the past. It's about using it as fuel to create a future of freedom. You are not just a person living in a moment. You are a bridge between generations, a living testament to the strength, wisdom, and also the struggles of your ancestors. The portal to your fullest self opens when you honor them, and when you choose to rewrite the parts of their story that still live in you. Chapter 18. Reprogramming the Portal. The truth about transformation is that it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice, by intention, and by consistent, focused effort. If your subconscious mind is a portal to everything you want to experience, then it's time to stop wandering through it aimlessly and start navigating with purpose. Reprogramming the subconscious isn't about trying to fix who you are. It's about intentionally creating a new way of being. And just like building muscle or learning a new skill, it requires practice, patience, and repetition. One of the most powerful tools for this is affirmations, but not the surface-level ones you've seen on Pinterest. True affirmations don't just say, I am successful. They say, I am worthy of success, and I am ready to receive it. They get specific. They cut through the layers of doubt and reinforce the identity you want to embody. It's not just about what you want. It's about who you need to be in order to receive it. Visualizations work in much the same way. You must see yourself already living the life you desire, not in the future, but as if it's happening right now. The subconscious doesn't understand time. It doesn't care about yesterday or tomorrow. It only knows now. The more vividly you imagine success, love, joy, peace, the more your subconscious will accept it as your new reality. But the real magic happens when you anchor those visions with emotion. Emotions are the currency of the subconscious. You can't just imagine the life you want, you have to feel it in your bones. Whether it's joy, relief, excitement, or peace, the stronger the emotion you attach to your vision, the faster it gets programmed into your mind. The third key to reprogramming is identity work. If you want to create lasting change, you have to stop identifying with your old story. That version of you who was scared, unsure, and limited. She's still in your subconscious, but she's not who you are anymore. You are who you choose to be, right now. This means letting go of the labels that no longer serve you. I'm always anxious. I'm not good enough. I'm bad with money. And replacing them with new empowering truths. The portal to your limitless potential is only as strong as the story you tell yourself every day. This is why you must consistently reinforce the new version of you. The version who is confident, abundant, peaceful, and deserving of everything the world has to offer. Start small. Every day, write down a new affirmation. Spend 5 minutes visualizing the life you want. Identify one area where you've been holding on to an old limiting belief and choose to release it. It doesn't happen overnight. The subconscious works in layers, and some of them will take time to dissolve. But when you begin, the change is undeniable. You start seeing new opportunities, attracting new people, and feeling like you're finally on the path you were always meant to walk. The portal is open and it's yours to navigate, so step through it. Chapter 19. Living from the Inside Out. There's a shift that happens when you stop trying to control everything around you and start living from the deep, unshakable knowing that everything you need is already inside you. It's like the moment you realize that you don't have to push the river. You can simply trust that it will carry you. For most of our lives, we've been taught that happiness, success, love, and peace are things we have to chase. They're outside us, conditional, dependent on circumstances, on the approval of others, on outcomes we can't always control. We've been sold the story that life is a series of checkboxes. Get the job, find the partner, buy the house, achieve the goal, and then finally you'll feel worthy, whole enough. But that chase, that constant striving, only leads to exhaustion. Because what you're really chasing isn't out there. It's a deep, quiet center that already exists within you. The moment you start to turn inward, to listen, to trust the guidance of your own subconscious, you begin to realize that the world outside doesn't have to determine your peace. It's you who decides how you respond to it. This isn't some new age, just think positive fluff. This is grounded, real, spiritual truth. Your subconscious is your greatest ally when you align with it, when you stop fighting the internal forces that have been shaping your experience all along. Living from the inside out doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means being so deeply rooted in who you are that no external event can knock you off balance for long. It means you can walk through life with clarity, intention, and peace, knowing that every challenge, every struggle, is an invitation to grow, not a threat to your stability. You stop reacting to life circumstances and start responding from your core. You stop living for approval and start living for you. You stop seeking validation from the outside world and begin to recognize the infinite worth already inside you. You may have been told that life is about controlling everything around you, but real freedom comes when you let go of that illusion and embrace the truth. Your power has always been within. The more you cultivate that inner peace, the more it reflects on the outside. The people around you begin to mirror your energy, your confidence, your calm. Things you once thought were out of your control, like the actions of others or the direction of your career, fall into place because you're no longer trying to force them. Instead, you are trusting them to unfold naturally as you continue to grow and evolve. Living from the inside out is the ultimate freedom. It's the knowledge that you don't have to chase, strive, or prove yourself to anyone. You are enough. You always have been. And when you live from that truth, life will begin to reflect it back to you in ways you can't even begin to imagine. Chapter 20. The portal is you. For so long you believed that the answers were somewhere out there. You searched for healing in books, in relationships, in the perfect job, the perfect house, the perfect moment. You thought you'd find fulfillment in something or someone outside of yourself. But here's the great revelation. You've always had the key. The portal you've been looking for doesn't lie in distant places, in people who might complete you, or in the dreams you've yet to chase. The portal was never external. It was always within you, hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, and old wounds, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. All this time, the truth you've been seeking has been right here, in the quiet corners of your soul, in the deep stirrings of your heart, in the small, still moments where you catch a glimpse of who you truly are, before life told you who you should be. The moment you realize that you are the portal, everything changes. All the struggles, the pain, the moments of confusion, they suddenly make sense. They were never there to break you, but to awaken you. You are not broken. You are not lost. You have simply been on a journey to remember what you've always known. You are whole, you are powerful, and you are deeply connected to the vast intelligence of the universe. You are a living, breathing portal of infinite potential. and you can access the deepest parts of yourself at any time. All you need to do is return to the stillness, let go of the need to control, and trust that everything you've been seeking is already unfolding within. The greatest healing happens not through fixing, but through remembering. When you embrace the fact that you are the portal, you stop looking for permission from outside sources. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop asking for the approval that you've been craving. Instead, you create the moment, you claim your own power, and you step into a life where your mind, body, and soul are finally aligned. The portal isn't just a space you enter. It's a way of living. It's a continuous unfolding of your truest self. The more you connect with the portal inside you, the more you become the expression of your highest potential. You have always been the key. You have always been the answer. And now it's time to step through the portal and into the life you were always meant to live. The journey ends not with finding something new, but with realizing what has always been there. You are the portal. Conclusion. As you've walked through these pages, you've opened the door to a vast invisible world inside you, one that holds your deepest truths, your unspoken desires, and your untapped potential. The subconscious is not some distant, mysterious force. It's a part of you that's been with you all along, quietly shaping every decision, every belief, every relationship. And the beauty of it is, it's not too late to change it. You don't need to find yourself. You just need to remember. The real question is not how to fix yourself. It's how to listen to the truth that's already been trying to speak to you. In the moments of anxiety, the sleepless nights, the discontent, your subconscious has been calling you back to your real self, the person you were before fear, pain, and doubt got in the way. But the key to unlocking this door isn't through force. It's through surrender. Surrendering to the stillness where you can hear the whispers of what has been buried. Surrendering to the emotions you've long avoided. Surrendering to the truth that your mind, heart, and body are trying to show you, over and over again. Reclaiming your life from the subconscious isn't about control, it's about alignment. Alignment with your soul's desires, your body's needs, and your spirit's wisdom. It's about saying goodbye to old scripts, inherited beliefs, and patterns that no longer serve you. And it's about rewriting your own story, with the pen in your hand, rather than the world's. You were never broken. You were always whole, always capable of transformation, but now you're being called to step into a deeper understanding of who you are. Not through the lens of past trauma or external expectations, but through the lens of your own soul. The portal is not outside of you. It has always been within you, waiting for you to remember that you have the power to change, to heal, to create, and to love fully. And now, as you close this book, the question is, what will you do with this freedom? What will you create with the knowledge that you hold the key? The choice is yours. The portal is open. Step through.